Jackie Robinson, baseball hero and champion of civil rights. In April of 1947, a baseball manager told his all-white team to insult the next man coming up to bat for the opposing team. The white players screamed hate-filled curses at the black man who approached. They called him names and shouted that his teammates would catch a disease if they touched him. That man, Jackie Robinson, was near despair, but he faced the hatred silently. He had to convince the world he was an excellent ball player and a true gentleman. He had to have the guts not to fight back. Robinson wondered whether he would ever be judged by his skills and not by the color of his skin. Although President Lincoln had freed the slaves about 8 years earlier, African Americans still did not have the same rights as white citizens. The country was segregated. Blacks and whites usually didn't mix in everyday life, including in sports. Robinson started a civil rights movement that changed the world forever when he became the first black man to join the 20th century Major League team. Over his years on the team and through his work for civil rights, Robinson opened the door for other African Americans to claim their civil rights too. Jack Roosevelt, Jackie Robinson, was born on January 31, 1990 in Carville, Georgia. His father, Jerry Robinson, deserted his family. Jackie's mother, Molly, displayed the bravery Jackie would need in years to come. In search of a better life for her family, she took the children and moved to California in 1920. Jackie's mother had trouble putting enough food on the table for her energetic family, but Jackie found a way to help out. Like his siblings, he loved sports and was an excellent player, so other kids offered to share their lunches with him if he played on their teams. The Robinsons were thrilled when Jackie's older brother Mac won the silver Olympic medal in Berlin for the 200-meter run. Jackie too soon became a star athlete. Robinson won a sports scholarship to the University of California at Los Angeles and attended the university for 2 years, excelling in football, basketball, track, and baseball. He spent 1 year playing in baseball's Negro Leagues. Then, in August 1955, the talented 26-year-old ball player agreed to meet the Branch Rickey, the president and the general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, an all-white baseball team. Rickey wanted to integrate the all-white major leagues, and he was looking for the right man to start what he called his noble experiment. He warned Robinson about the danger he would face. Balls would be thrown directly at him, and he would receive hate mail and death threats. Still, Robinson promised that for the next 3 years, he would remain silent throughout any abuse he might suffer. He would spend 1 year training the minor leagues with the Montreal Royals, and if he did well, Robinson would join the Major League Dodgers. During the first year, Robinson encountered the obstacles Rickey had predicted. Some teams did not want to play against the black man and found excuses to cancel their games. When they did play, opposing teams and their fans ridiculed Robinson. In Syracuse, one player threw a black cat onto the field and shouted, "Hey Jackie, there's a cousin!" Not being able to respond felt like a punishment. Robinson couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. His hair started to turn gray. His doctor worried that Robinson might have a nervous breakdown. But Robinson fought back with his baseball skills. He made games exciting by batting well and by stealing bases to help his team score runs. He led the Royals to the league championship, often called a pennant, and later to the Junior World Series. When he joined the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947, however, Robinson had to start all over. Some teammates circulated a petition demanding that he not join the team. He later wrote, "I had to fight hard against loneliness, abuse, and the knowledge that any mistake I made would be magnified because I was the only black man out there." But slowly, Robinson won the respect of his teammates and of much of the crowd. When an opposing player tried to ridicule the popular Dodgers player, Pee Wee Reese, for playing with Robinson, Reese didn't answer. Instead, he simply put a friendly arm around his teammate's shoulder to show his support. Robinson was named the Rookie of the Year in 1947. He won the Most Valuable Player Award in 1959 as the National League batting leader with an average of .342. Robinson played with the Dodgers for 10 years, helping them win 6 pennants. In 1955, they won the World Series, and in 1962, Jackie Robinson became the first black man to be admitted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Rickey and Robinson knew their noble experiment had succeeded when other teams in the major leagues started recruiting African Americans. Finally, Robinson could break his silence and stand up for himself against abuse. He had earned his right to speak his mind. In 1956, Robinson recognized his playing days were nearing an end. His health and performance were suffering, and the Dodgers hoped to trade him to another team. Robinson didn't want to go anywhere else, so he retired from baseball. He continued to work for civil rights, raising money for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People and combating racism alongside with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 1972, at a World Series game on the 25th anniversary of his Dodgers debut, Robinson told the crowd that he wouldn't be satisfied until more blacks worked in baseball's upper management. By then, Jackie Robinson was nearly blind from diabetes. He died of a heart attack 2 weeks later on October 24, 1972. Today, Robinson's number, 42, lives on in history. Out of respect for the extraordinary baseball player and champion of civil rights, it was retired. No new players can use it. By breaking the baseball's color barrier in 1955, Jackie Robinson became the face of the civil rights movement in the United States. Since then, many African Americans have achieved important successes in the battle for equal rights, but this baseball player scored first.